Well, speaking about bonds, I guess we should talk about the one person who is arguably influencing the bond market the most, and that is Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke. Will he or won't he be reappointed by the end of his term? Jim Bianco, president of Bianco Research, says no because of the haphazard way that the Fed has handled the financial crisis. Jim is with Eric Schatzker right now at the National Urban League Conference in Chicago. So we turn things over to you, Eric.
Thank you very much, Deirdre. Jim, you're weighing in on this debate effectively, I wouldn't say kick-started, but certainly accelerated this past weekend when Nouriel Roubini squared off against Anna Schwartz in the pages of the New York Times. Roubini, the New York University economist, saying Bernanke should be reappointed. Schwartz saying no, and you agree with her. Let's get into some of the reasons why Bernanke should not be reappointed, because so many people think he's done an extraordinary job managing through this unprecedented crisis.
The crisis, though, is somewhat of his making. I think that the Fed has had, as Anna Schwartz laid out, a haphazard way in dealing with this. Part of the reason that we had the crisis post-September was the decision to let Lehman fail. So we bailed out Bear Stearns. We then nationalized Fannie and Freddie. We didn't bail out Lehman Brothers. We bailed out AIG. At that point, nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew what the rules of the road were, and it was partially of his own creation. Now, I don't think he's done an extraordinarily bad job. I'm just comparing him a little bit to Greenspan. Greenspan made himself indispensable. You could not reappoint him. So Bernanke, I don't think, has risen to that level. If he was reappointed, I wouldn't complain loudly that he was reappointed, but I think the slate is wide open for President Obama to pick anybody he wants.
Okay, a couple of questions come from that. First, though, Alan Greenspan never faced the kind of challenges that Ben Bernanke has faced. How do we know that Greenspan would have performed more adequately under those circumstances than Ben Bernanke has?
Well, I sort of disagree with that. You're right. Nothing quite to what we saw in 2008, but he did have the stock market crash in 1987. He did have the recession of 1990, and he had the tech bust in 2000. So Greenspan did have a couple of issues he had to deal with, but nobody since the Great Depression has had to deal with any of these. And Greenspan's management of those issues gave him such high remarks that he could not be reappointed. And Bernanke, I don't think, has quite gotten to that level yet.
Okay, now let's talk about the other question that you raised, which is if the door is in fact open for President Obama to choose somebody else, whom should it be?
I think he's going to wind up choosing somebody from the Democratic side of the aisle. The natural names are Larry Lindsey or Janet Yellen. I think if I had to be better, I think he'd probably take Janet Yellen at this point.
But do those names give you confidence? Do you feel that Janet Yellen, for example, whom we just heard from earlier this week, would do a better job directing the Fed, being less haphazard, being more precise about exactly what the Fed's job is than Ben Bernanke has?
That's the hope, is that she would lay out the rules of the road, especially when it comes to the exit strategy. Because I don't think that the Fed has really laid out any rules for an exit strategy. They keep saying that at some point there will be one, but they haven't really described how or when yet. They've only kind of gone through, kind of the mechanics that nobody really understands.
All right, Jim, great perspective on the Fed, and of course the exit strategy remains a very open question. We'll have to come back to you on that in the future. That is Jim Bianco, president of Bianco Research.